Welcome to Laying the Leadership Foundation podcast, where Stephanie and I discuss how we are building a leadership development program and hear from guests on their experiences.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Laying the Leadership Foundation podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Poole, and I'm joined with Stephanie Levesque, my co-host. So today we are joined by a very special member of our formation group member, Chad Levesque, and fantastic guy. I know, Stephanie, you work with him a lot more on the student athlete success side. So I'll let you give a little intro and we'll go from there.
Great. Thank you, Tom. So as he said, our guest today is Chad Levesque. He is our assistant baseball coach, and he's also an advisor for student athlete success. He works with a lot of our students on the academic side, and he is helping us create this leadership development academy. So Chad, can you give us a little bit more of your background and how you got to your positions today?
Yeah, great. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. So I kind of took a different route, probably more untraditional than most in my position. I was in law enforcement for 20 years, something that I wanted to do since college. Overall, it was a good career. I had fun. I met a lot of people. I enjoyed working with people and helping people, obviously. And then it just kind of, things just within society, things changed. And I have a family, and I felt like I wanted to, be more accessible to them. I missed a lot of their growing up and, holidays and vacations and that kind of stuff. So I was always into coaching. I enjoyed coaching every level. And then, being here, I joined AIC in a second stint. I was here a couple other years back in 2008. 2018, I rejoined the baseball staff, and kind of things progressed from there. And little by little, I was helping more of our players in general on the baseball team with academics and making sure that they're following all the guidelines and keeping up their credits and grades and all that stuff. And then eventually it kind of fell into my lap. We had an advisor that left, and I was asked to fill in temporarily, and I did. I loved it. I enjoy it thoroughly, and so now I'm here. I am helping Stephanie and working with student athletes, and basically helping them, organize and manage their life and on a college campus, which can be challenging for them. And that's where I'm at, and I love it, and I appreciate being here and being involved with everyone. So.
Yep. So you mentioned you had two stints here. Obviously, I'm sure AIC changed a little bit in that time. I know that we've added quite a few more staff members and a lot from the person standpoint. I'm sure lots of coaches overturned, but I guess what made you want to come back to AIC and be part of our Yellow Jacket family again?
Yeah. So, part of it was considering my retirement from law enforcement and what am I going to do next? And, I just wanted to do something different. And having the love of sports, obviously this is my something different. So being able to, have that constant contact with Coach Collini over the years, a spot had opened up and said, hey, this is where you're at in your career. We'd love to have you. And so that's where I'm at. So I appreciate, the contact from him and having me be someone in mind that he was looking to join the staff. So it's always having those doors open and, having those connections and, keeping them for however long you need to, because you never know when you're going to need them again.
Now, on top of all the things that you do here at AIC, you're also in a program at Western New England. So can you talk to us about that program and how it's helping you now with coaching, with advising, and within our committee?
Sure. Yeah. So I was reluctant at first. Again, this whole change in career has been challenging, nervous. But, I always feel like if it's something hard to do and if it's easy to do rather, then it's not challenging. So I joined the master's program at Western New England University. So I'm an older student in the program. It's the sports leadership and coaching program. So it's a 2-year program. I'm in the first year. I've enjoyed it so far. I've learned a ton in terms of compliance, governance, and the next course that I'm in now is leadership. So I'm looking forward to being able to incorporate that in a lot of what we're going to do.
Well, we definitely keep you busy at AIC. On top of baseball, on top of student athlete, you back in school. We also recently, obviously, Stephanie and I are in the NCAA Leadership Academy workshop, and we've asked you to be a member of our formation group. Something that we find is going to be a key factor in us launching this leadership development program. And I guess tell us a little bit about what your thoughts were when Stephanie initially asked you about being a part of our formation group, and I guess really what was going through your head at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I've certainly appreciated the again, thinking of me and having those doors open. And I certainly feel like I have something to bring to the program in general. So I think it's going to be a good thing. Each team has their general leadership here at school, and every program assigns their captains. But I think ultimately we want to get as many student athletes involved in this to build that leadership within the programs and within the school. So yeah, I think I thought it was a great idea, and I'm obviously happy to be involved with it.
Now, is there any thoughts or ideas that you've had or hopes for this Leadership Academy when we first approached you about joining this committee? Did you have anything that you really wanted to make sure that we hit on with this, or is there anything that has surprised you so far about it?
Not necessarily. I think we're heading in a good direction. I think it's important to, as much as we have the leadership of our veteran student athletes, our upperclassmen, I think it's even more important to start those younger kids as well, to make sure that they're brought up with even more skills and leadership skills, and hopefully be able to pass those on to their team. So I like the idea of being able to not just rely on our veteran and upperclassmen. I love the idea of getting the younger kids involved as well.
One of the things that we've talked about, it seems like for a majority of our times meeting together, has been the needs-based assessment, which we know is obviously a key thing. I think we probably spent 2.5 to 3 meetings talking about our needs-based assessment, going through question by question, not only for our student athlete questionnaire, but also for our coaches and administration questionnaire. I guess, what are your initial thoughts of going through that needs-based assessment, putting that together? And then do you think we'll learn anything different from what we might think as a formation group and what our student athletes might think once they fill out the survey?
Yeah, I think I think that's always a great way to start. I feel, especially with the coaches, because I think the coaches would like to see specific things addressed as well, because they'll always address things on their own teams and their programs. But I think being able to incorporate those needs based on the students and the coaches together is going to allow us to really grow the program and have different avenues of where we can go with it, really. So I think it's definitely going to be a big thing to have the coaches involved and have their say in it as well.
And another big thing that we've worked on is that wonderful logic model. So what have your thoughts been on creating that, and how do you think we'll be able to use that moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think we hit on some really good points recently, and I think it's going to be a great foundation to build this whole program from. I think it's just, if we know where we want this program to go, I think it's going to allow us to steer in a couple different directions and have some plans in place of what we want to do. So I think it's going to be a great program. I think once we get everything settled and we know the direction we want, I think it's going to benefit the school entirely, not just the athletic program, but I think it's going to benefit the whole community.
I mean, one of the things that we've talked about in our meetings has definitely been the social change model, and that's what we want to do. We want to have that change socially. not only in the AIC community, but the people around us and the people who live around campus, just to help put everything together and build that sense of community. So I think that that's a key point that you brought up there. So we definitely have a lot. I know we've thrown a lot of information at you guys from a formation group committee level. And I mean, Grant, we've had a bunch of information thrown at us as well. But I guess what's it like? I know you aren't in the program with Stephanie and myself, but are you feeling like you're getting some other education knowledge with this as being a part of the formation group?
Yeah, for sure. I think just this alone, this in combination with, my background and my, work history. And I think it's going to be, I think we're definitely being able to work together and collaborate and kind of, again, have this model set so we can move forward. But yeah, definitely, I feel like it's, getting to know, what the students are interested in. And then at the same time, with you and Stephanie bringing what you're learning at your leadership academy as well, I think it's going to be huge for us to be able to incorporate all that together and really put a good program together. So yeah, I definitely agree. I think on both spectrums, we're all able to learn a lot, whether it's about ourselves or just about the students. And then, obviously the staff and within the community. So I love it because it incorporates everything. It's really going to help us guide the program. And I think that's huge around here in the area that we're in. I think AIC needs to be in our community more.
Now, another layer that you have to connect you with AIC is you currently have one of your kids attending here. So have you tapped into him to ask about leadership stuff or his experience at AIC? And or if you haven't, do you plan to? And how could we use that while we're making our leadership academy?
Yeah, I have. And it's been an interesting time, obviously, because of COVID. And, so he's lived at home the last 2 semesters. He was here his first semester, but he's obviously around. He plays baseball. And so I think I've definitely tapped into him a little bit. He's a type of kid that takes a little bit more to get to know him and to get him to, present some of those leadership skills that we're looking for. But I think that's part of it. I think that's being able to draw some of these skills and assets from these kids that normally don't hold those positions of leadership, but to be able to get to learn those kids and how we can draw those things out of them. So yeah, I mean, for my son, for sure, like he's not in that leadership role, but to be able to pull something out of him, that's a pretty special thing. So when we get to do that with kids at all levels on any sports team, I think that's an exciting thing. So, but yeah, he likes to talk and then, okay, Dad, I'm good.
Yeah, Tom and I have talked pretty extensively on how we're really hoping this Leadership Academy will be more targeted towards those student athletes who might not present as a strong leader or the obvious leader, so that we can really pull out those leadership qualities and teach those leadership skills to them. So yeah, he might be a really good person to tap into to see if our marketing strategies work.
Yeah, no, for sure. I can see that. I mean, you recruit from a recruiting standpoint of coaches, like you recruit certain kids for certain needs on your team, but then there's always that, that every kid can use some sort of leadership and to be able to pull something out of them. So if we can do that with every one of these student athletes and be able to get them to initiate themselves, some of those skills, that'd be a pretty special thing for AIC.
Well, I mean, that's one of the conversations we've also had is how do we reach those people? And I think that we've talked about wanting to do a self-nomination form. Obviously, that's going to get a lot of kids or some kids to do that and want to be a part of it. But at the same time, the flip side is we want the coaches to also help us reach those type of student athletes because we know that I know all three of us can think of probably 2 or 3 student athletes that we have currently at AIC who we think would be a great fit, but probably wouldn't go out and apply just naturally in. So I think you brought up a really good point with that. And that's really where you as a coach and all of our other coaches definitely, that's where we need your help to help identify some of those people.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a good point, because it's each coach again knows their kids. They've recruited them, so they know what they bring to the team, and then but they also know what they could use for just to benefit them for the team and themselves too. I mean, you want these kids to be able to advocate for themselves, and some kids don't have that. So just to teach simple skills like that is going to be good for that student athlete and for the program. So.
Well, we want to thank you, Chad, so much for joining us today and taking some time out of your busy schedules. I know you're also in season. So being in season, working with Stephanie in student athlete success and in school, we definitely know you have a lot going on, and that's when the stuff at work that we know about. So we just want to say thank you for joining us today, and we're happy to have you on our formation group, and we're excited to see what happens next.
Yeah, good. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, signing off for this week's edition of Laying the Leadership Foundation podcast, I'm Thomas Poole.
And I'm Stephanie Jurasic.
And we'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining us this week on Laying the Leadership Foundation podcast. Be sure to subscribe and review this podcast wherever you listen. If you found value in this podcast, do us a favor and share this episode with someone else. As always, keep laying the foundation.